What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously. Once again, I am back for my Week 13 college football predictions, Rivalry Week. Now, Week 12 is in the books, and now we're into Week 13 of the college football season, and it is Rivalry Week. So, we got some big-time rivalry matchups this week. There's going to be 12 picks this week instead of 10, because this is going to be a big-time video when it comes to the rivalry games like the Iron Bowl, the Palmetto Bowl, good old-fashioned hate, the Battle of I-4, the Commonwealth Cup, the Apple Cup. So I'm very excited to do these predictions. This may be a long video, but I hope you guys do enjoy this. Now, our record coming out of Week 12 of the college football season, we finished up 9-1. So our overall record coming into this week's college football predictions is 86-34. So we're coming in after a very, very good Week 12. We only lost one game, which was the Oklahoma State game, which they lost to Kansas State. But we're coming in hot. Only our second 9-win record in this year's college football predictions on this channel. So I'm very happy. We're on a 2-week winning streak. So hopefully in this video, and definitely this is going to be our toughest, we're going to try to make it 3. Now, before I begin, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching all the videos up until this point, especially last week's college football predictions. You guys blew it up once again with over 273 plus views. You guys super kicked that like button 7 times, and you guys had over 27 comments from you fantastic college football fans representing your team, representing your picks, and representing your opinions on all that is college football. So I do want to thank you guys so very much for doing that. And hopefully in this video, you guys will do the same by showing your love by watching the video, super kicking that like button, and representing your team, representing your picks, representing your opinions in the comment section down below. Now, being it's Thanksgiving this Thursday, and of course my birthday on Sunday, I do want to wish you guys a very, very happy Thanksgiving from the Dangerous Lions here. Be thankful for what you have, friends, families, loved ones. Those are very precious to those things are very precious to people, and I do want to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. Now, we are at 250 plus subscribers now on the channel, so I do want to thank you guys so very much for supporting the channel. To new subscribers, thank you guys for super kicking that subscribe button, and welcome to the Dangerous Lions. It is great to have you guys here. And to my longtime subscribers, thank you guys for sticking around, supporting the channel, and as always, killing it. Now, this is your first time watching my channel as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video. Boy, you picked a good one if you're a college football fan and you're ready for Rivalry Week. Welcome to the Dangerous Lions. I am JT Dangerously, and welcome to the club, because this club is just too... Whoop, whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into these college football predictions. Now, we're going to start off on Thursday night, which is Thanksgiving. We have an SEC battle, and it's known as the Egg Bowl, featuring the Ole Miss Rebels heading to Starksville to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now, this is the 114th meeting between the Rebels and the Bulldogs, with Ole Miss leading the old-time series 63, 44, and 6. Now, Mississippi State has won the last meeting against Ole Miss last year, and Ole Miss is looking to win for the first time in 2 years. Now, Ole Miss coming in at 5-6 took a tough loss at home to Texas A&M on Saturday. They're looking to get bowl eligible and knock off their in-state rivals in Mississippi. Then on the other side, you have the Mississippi State Bulldogs are coming off a big come-from-behind win on the road against Arkansas. Nick Fitzpatrick has had a big-time game in the fourth quarter, getting them down the field and getting the game-winning touchdown. Dan Mullen's having a great year over there, and he could be on that short list for some open spots in college football like Tennessee and Florida. So coming from me in the battle for the Egg Bowl, man, this one's really tough. I'm going to take the Mississippi State Bulldogs to defeat the Ole Miss Rebels. And now the next matchup, which will be on Black Friday, which it could be a Black Friday for some big college football teams. Maybe. Starting off in the ACC, it is the battle for the Commonwealth Cup, featuring the Virginia Tech Hokies heading to Virginia to face the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, this is the 99th meeting between the Hokies and the Cavaliers, with Virginia Tech leading the all-time series 56, 37, and 5. Now, Virginia Tech has won the last 13 meetings against Virginia, and Virginia is looking to win in this series for the first time since 2003, which is 14 years ago. So this is a big-time rivalry. Now, starting off with the Virginia Tech, they're coming off a big-time win at home against a very good Pitt team with their vintage deep goal line defense, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it when it comes to Virginia Tech and their strong defense. Then on the other side, you have and they're coming in 8-3. Then on the other side, you have the Virginia Cavaliers are coming in 6-5 after a very tough loss to a very good Miami Hurricanes team. They were up in that game, but they just fell short with the turnover chain. And when that turnover chain starts, it's like a snowball going downhill. Nothing's going to stop them. But they did look good. Virginia actually gave Miami a fight with Kurt Benkert with over 4 touchdowns. He did get 2 picks, and they definitely cost them the game. But Virginia actually gave him a fight, which I was happy to see. So coming from me in the battle for the Commonwealth Cup on Friday night, man, this one's really tough because Virginia did give Miami a run for their money on Saturday, and Virginia Tech is coming off a big-time win at home with their defense, and they live and die by their defense. So coming from me in this matchup, I am taking the Virginia Tech Hokies to defeat the Virginia Cavaliers in a close battle. And now the next matchup on Friday. It is an American athletic rivalry known as the Battle of I-4, featuring the University of South Florida Bulls heading to Central Florida to face the Central Florida Knights. Now, this is only the 9th meeting between the Bulls and the Knights, with South Florida leading the all-time series 6-2, and USF has won the last 2 meetings, and UCF is looking to win for the first time in 3 years. Now, USF is coming off a big win on Thursday. I think it was on Thursday against Tulsa. Quentin Flowers had a big-time game. Charlie Strong is definitely getting this team back to winning for once in the American Athletic Conference, and they're looking to show that if you mess with the Bulls, you're going to get the horns. Then on the other side, you have the UCF Knights who are coming off a big win over Temple on Saturday. They're coming in 10-0, one of the last 4 undefeated teams in college football this season, and a team that nobody's looking at right now. I know they're not in a big Power 5 conference, but they're 10-0, and whoever wins this matchup will go on to the American Athletic Conference Championship matchup next week against the Memphis Tigers. So whoever wins this is going to have a very good match up with the Memphis Tigers. So coming from me in this battle of the I-4, man, this one's really tough. South Florida's only loss was to Houston, and UCF hasn't lost this whole season, and they have been really good. Their coach is definitely on another short list on he can be leaving Central Florida to go to a bigger conference school. Scott Frost, great coach. I would say definitely going to be coach of the year in the American Athletic Conference. So coming from me, I'm going to take the undefeated Central Florida Knights to defeat the South Florida Bulls. And now the Saturday slate, which is starting off in the SEC. It is the rivalry known as Clean Old-Fashioned Hate, featuring the Georgia Bulldogs heading to Georgia Tech to face the rambling wreck of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, this is the 112th meeting between Georgia Tech and Georgia, with Georgia leading the all-time series 65-41-5. Now, Georgia Tech won the last meeting last year against Georgia, and Georgia's looking to win for the first time in 2 years. Now, Georgia's coming off a big-time win against a very good Kentucky team. They're coming in 10-1. They are representing the SEC East in the SEC Championship, and they're also waiting to see who they'll be facing in the SEC Championship next week. But they looked good. Jake Fromm had another big-time game. Nick Chubb had another great game. Their other running back also had a big-time game against a very good Kentucky team. They're coming in 10-1. Then on the other side, you have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're coming off a very tough loss on the road against a very good Duke team. They gave up 40 points. They're coming in 5-5, and they're looking to win one more game to be bowl eligible. And they're also looking to add more embarrassment to the Georgia Bulldogs in this matchup. So coming from me in this big-time, clean, old-fashioned hate rivalry, man, this one's tough. Georgia is definitely the best team in the SEC East. Georgia Tech is looking to become a spoiler and absolutely hurt them in the college football playoffs. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs to defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And now the next matchup. It is the Battles for the Legends Trophy, featuring the Stanford Cardinals heading to South Bend to face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, this is the 32nd meeting between Notre Dame and Stanford, with Notre Dame leading the all-time series 19-2. Now, Stanford has won the last 2 meetings against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is looking to win in this series for the first time in 3 years. Now, Stanford is coming off a big win on Saturday night over a very good Cal team, and they are just waiting to see if they're going to make it to the Pac-12 championship to face USC next week. But they looked good. Bryce Love had another big-time game on the ground. They are definitely on the way. They're definitely on pins and needles looking to see if they're going to get to the Pac-12 championship and face USC once again. Then on the other side of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are coming off a big win at home against a very good Navy midshipman team. They looked good. Brian Kelly's got this team getting back into motions after their embarrassing loss to the Miami Hurricanes the following week. They're coming in 9-2. Weinbush is having a good year at quarterback. If they don't make any mistakes, they can continue the winning ways. So coming from me in the battle for the Legends Trophy, man, this one's really tough because Stanford is a good team. Notre Dame is a good team. So coming from me, man, this one's tough. I'm going to take the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to defeat the Stanford Cardinals. And now the next matchup, a Pac-10 rivalry battle known as the Apple Cup, featuring the Washington State Cougars heading to Washington to face the Washington Huskies. Now, this is the 110th meeting between the Cougars and the Huskies, with the Huskies leading the all-time series 71, 32, and 6. Now, the Huskies have won the last 4 meetings against Washington State, and the Cougars are looking to win in this series for the first time since 2012. Now, this game has big-time Pac-12 North implications with, if Washington wins, Stanford becomes the team that represents the North against USC in the Pac-12 championship. But if Washington State wins, they represent the Pac-12 North against USC next week in the Pac-12 championship. So it's a big-time game in the Pac-12. Now, starting off with Washington State, they're coming off a bye. They're coming in 9-2. Keith Falk is having a great year at quarterback at Washington State. Mike Leach and his crazy after-game interviews are really making this team really good. I mean, I didn't even expect Washington State to be this good this season at 9-2, but they've had some big-time wins against USC. If you remember on Thursday this year, they definitely have the USC's Trojans number this year. Then on the other side, you have the Washington Huskies, who are also coming in 9-2 after a big-time win over the Utah Utes on Saturday night. They looked good. Browning had a big-time game, and their running back Myles Gaskin had a big-time game on the ground with 2 touchdowns, surpassing Bishop Sankey's numbers of when he was there at Washington. So coming from me in this matchup to see, who's going to win this Apple Cup? Man, this one's really, really, really tough because I like the Washington team because they have our former coach at Boise State, Chris Peterson, coaching them, and they're really doing fantastic with him. I'm very happy for him. So coming from me in this matchup for the Apple Cup, I'm going to take the Washington Huskies to defeat the Washington State Cougars, and so it will be Stanford versus USC in the Pac-12 championship next week. And now the next matchup, and it's coming out of the Big Ten, and it's one of my favorite Big Ten rivalries. It is the Ohio State Buckeyes heading to the Big House to face the Michigan Wolverines. Now, this is the 114th meeting between Michigan and Ohio State, with Michigan leading the all-time series 58, 48, and 6. Now, the Buckeyes have won the last 5 meetings against Michigan, and Michigan's looking to win for the first time since 2011. Now, Buckeyes are coming in 9-2 after a big-time win at home over the Illini. They clinched the Big Ten East, so they'll be facing the Wisconsin Badgers in the Big Ten championship next Saturday. So this Buckeyes team is getting better ever since their loss to Oklahoma and Iowa. JT Barrett's having a great year. Urban Meyer is having another fantastic year at the Horseshoe, and they're looking to continue their dominance against Michigan. Then on the other side, you have the Michigan Wolverines, who are coming in 8-3. They are coming off a loss to Wisconsin on Saturday, which was their quarterback did get hurt, so they had to go with their backup quarterback, and they just fell apart from there because of Wisconsin's fantastic defense. And Jim Harbaugh, this is your make or break moment right here. You could not beat Penn State, but if you can beat Ohio State, which he hasn't done since he's been there, it'd be a big-time accomplishment and keep him staying in Ann Arbor. So coming from me in this huge Big Ten rivalry matchup, man, there's been so many great moments here in this rivalry. I mean, you've had great coaches like Jim Tressel and Bo Schembechler, Brady Hoke, Rich Rodriguez, Urban Meyer. You've had great players like Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard, Eddie George, Maurice Clarett. You've had some just Tom Brady. You just had some great players on this huge Big Ten rivalry. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to go with the Ohio State Buckeyes to defeat the Michigan Wolverines. OHIO. And now the next matchup in which College Game Day will be out this weekend. It's one of my all-time favorite rivalries in the SEC. It's the Iron Bowl, featuring the #1 team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide, heading to Auburn to face the Auburn Tigers. Now, this is the 82nd meeting between Alabama and Auburn, with Bama leading the all-time series 45-35-1. Now, Bama has won the last 3 meetings against Auburn, and Auburn's looking to win in this series for the first time since the Miracle Game in 2013. Now, Bama's coming off a big win over a very cupcake team in Mercer on Saturday. Just a very lopsided game because it's a cupcake team against the #1 team in the nation. And I really don't understand big-time teams playing these cupcake teams. I understand they gave them Mercer got $600,000 by facing Alabama on Saturday. So I guess money is the root of all evil, I guess. So Bama looked good. Jalen Hurts had a big-time game. But the one thing that worries me about Alabama is their defense. Ever since that game against Mississippi State, that they nearly lost that game and losing that game at Mississippi State, they nearly lost that game because of their defense. And their defense has been struggling all season. Starting off with the first game, they lost their linebackers, and their defense has been struggling. So Alabama is very, very vulnerable right now when it comes to their defense. And they're looking to continue their winning ways and looking to go on to face the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC Championship and go on to the college football playoff. Then on the other side of the Auburn Tigers are coming off a big win over another cupcake team in Louisiana Monroe. They're coming in 9-2. This is their biggest chance right now. Whoever wins this game goes on to face Georgia in the SEC Championship. So Auburn, who beat Georgia a few weeks ago, have Georgia's number, but they also want to end this 3-game winning streak against Bama and finally get a win against the Tide. So coming from me in the Iron Bowl this year, man, this one's tough. Whoever wins this wins the SEC West Division. So coming from me, man, this one's really tough. I'm going to take the #1 team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, to defeat the Auburn Tigers in a very, very close one. Roll Tide! And now the next matchup, it is a Big Ten rivalry featuring the Penn State Nittany Lions heading to Maryland to face the Maryland Terrapins. Now, this is the 41st meeting between Penn State and Maryland, with Penn State leading the all-time series 37-2-1. Now, Penn State has won the last 2 meetings against the Terps, and the Terps are looking to win for the first time in 3 years. Now, Penn State's coming off a big win on Saturday against, I forget who they played. They played somebody. I think they played Nebraska. Trevor McSorley had a big-time game. Saquon Barkley had a big-time game on the ground for the first time in 3 games. And Penn State is definitely going to be in a big-time bowl this year, not because they're not winning the Big Ten East Division. Then on the other side of the Maryland Terrapins are coming off a blowout loss to a very good Northwestern team on Saturday. They're coming in 4-7. They're already guaranteed to not have a winning record this season, and they're looking to become a spoiler team. So coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry, man, this one's tough because Maryland can give them a fight, but Trevor McSorley and Saquon Barkley is just too much for this Terrapins team. So I'm going to be taking the Penn State Nittany Lions to defeat the Maryland Terrapins. We are Penn State. And now the next matchup, it is an ACC rivalry featuring the North Carolina Tar Heels heading to North Carolina State to face the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Now, this is the 107th meeting between UNC and NC State, with UNC leading the all-time series 66-34-6. Now, NC State won at last year's matchup, and UNC's looking to win for the first time in 2 years. Now, UNC's coming off a blowout win against Coastal Carolina, and they're coming in 3-8. So they're looking to just knock off their in-state rival. They're not looking for a win for bowl eligibility because they only won 3 games. Then on the other side of the North Carolina Wolfpack, we're coming off a shocking loss to the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Eric Birch, you've done it again. He was the only guy who actually picked Wake Forest to win that game in the comments section. Then they're coming in 7-4. So they're coming in after a surprising loss to Wake Forest, and UNC's coming off a big win against a very cupcake team in Coastal Carolina. So coming from me in this in-state rivalry in the ACC, man, this one's tough. I think NC State's definitely going to be looking for some revenge after their shocking loss to Wake Forest on Saturday. So coming from me in this matchup, I am taking the North Carolina State Wolfpack to defeat the UNC Tar Heels. And now the next matchup. It is an SEC rivalry battle featuring the Texas A&M Aggies heading to Death Valley to face the LSU Tigers. Now the Texas A&M, this is the 56th meeting between LSU and the Aggies, with LSU leading the old-time series 32-20-3. Now LSU has won the last 6 meetings against Texas A&M, and A&M is looking to win for the first time since 1995. 22 years they've been waiting to beat LSU. So this could be a very, very good matchup. Now, starting off with the A&M Aggies, they're coming off a big win on Saturday on the road against against Ole Miss. Mike Sumlin's got another winning record, but again, he did not beat Bama. But if he can beat a very good LSU team, that may secure his job in Texas A&M. Then on the other side, you have the LSU Tigers are coming off a big win against the rock bottom Tennessee Volunteers. They're coming in 8-3. Ed Orgeron is having one heck of a year in his first year coaching the LSU Tigers. Are coming in, they're just looking really good. And they're going to be in Death Valley. You know that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. It's going to be just, the earth is going to shake. And so coming from me in this SEC rivalry, man, I mean, Sumlin against Orgeron, this is going to be a really good matchup. So coming from me, I am taking the LSU Tigers to defeat the Texas A&M Aggies. Go Tigers! And now the final matchup in Week 13. It is the Palmetto Bowl featuring the Clemson Tigers heading to South Carolina to face the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now this is the 115th meeting between Clemson and South Carolina, with Clemson leading the all-time series 68-42-4. Now, Clemson has won the last 3 meetings against South Carolina, and South Carolina is looking to win for the first time since 2013. Now, Clemson's coming off a big win against another cupcake team in the Citadel, which I'm never going to understand why these top teams play these cupcake teams. I mean, I don't understand it. But Clemson looked good. Kelly Bryant had a big-time game against a very terrible, the Citadel cupcake team. But they're coming in, they're looking to continue their winning ways onto the ACC championship game next Saturday against the best team in the ACC right now, the Miami Hurricanes. So they're looking to continue their winning ways all the way up to next Saturday, and they're coming in 10-1. Then on the other side, you have the South Carolina Gamecocks. Are coming off a big win against another cupcake team in Wofford. They're coming in 8-3, and they're looking to stick it to their in-state rivals. So coming from me in this final matchup in Week 13, and who will win this year's Palmetto Bowl? Man, this one's tough. I'm going to take the Clemson Tigers to defeat the South Carolina Gamecocks and go on to the ACC Championship and face the Hurricanes. And those are my Week 13 college football predictions. Now, I hope you guys did enjoy these predictions. Comment below, who do you have winning all these games in Week 13 of the college football season? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, represent your team in the comment section if you're a college football fan. As always, put your picks in the comment section if you want to. And as always, voice your opinions on my predictions. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I am always on to see your comment, like it, and of course, reply right back to you, because comments are absolutely always welcome on the channel. And I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching this week's college football predictions. Now, before you go, you can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. And of course, you can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button, become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys Tuesday for my Week 12 NFL predictions. Later days and peace.